All right, it is 7 o'clock. Thank you, ladies, so much. Monday, August 21st. It's a pleasure to have you ladies on this evening. Tonight we have a special guest, but y'all know I always say that, right? We have sister superstars every single month. Only one time have we had a male, and he had a hibiscus farm, and I purchased some things from that farm. But other than that, we've been doing this since January 2021. Yeah, since January 2021. I don't know, 2 years, whatever that means. So, and again, we have not missed a single month. And again, we've only had a male to present one time. That just shows you the richness of the work that sisters are doing. And I have many more on the list. And if you are in the agricultural space, if you're doing work in this space, if you're a farmer, grower, tree farmer like Ruth and Miss Emily, I got a couple other tree farmers, anything in the ag field, please email me and let me know, and I would like to put you on the schedule. Next month, we're going to have Miss Keisha, who works for CFSA. But again, one of the reasons I do this is so that we can see each other and we can know what's going on in the field. I love connecting people with resources and information. And you know, they say information is power, but it ain't power if you don't do nothing with it. It's just information. So you have to act on it. So it's my job and my calling to bring the information to you, but you got to act on it. I wish I could do it for you. If I could, I would, but I can't. So again, welcome to the call. I like to start every call out with the mission. And the mission of FarmaSIS is to educate, inspire, and train 10,000 Black women to grow food and to create another food system. Once you learn and get as deep as I am in the food game, in the food business, you're going to learn some things about what's going on with food that you don't really want to know, but you should know, we need to know. And one of the things is, just because we go to the grocery store and buy fresh fruits and vegetables, sometimes don't mean it's healthy for us because of the pesticides and the chemicals that are sprayed on it. So we are creating and growing our own food, and we know what's on it. And we don't intentionally spray chemicals and things that will harm us, and especially our children. You know, we definitely won't do that. So, you know, that's why I'm doing this, so that we can create another food system, and that has already begun. Sisters are already trading and buying and bartering with each other, and this is going to continue to grow. Our vision is to work collectively as women. We shouldn't do anything by ourselves. It's too hard, it's too heavy. So let's work collectively to promote health and wellness through nature. We have gotten so far removed from being outdoors in nature. It's too hot, there's bugs out there, it's mosquitoes. Yes, it is that, all of that. But we still need to go outside sometime. We still need the sunshine. We still need vitamin D. All of us need it, and the best place, the best source is the sun. So we want to promote health and wellness through nature, and we want to initiate economic development. If you're growing, you can always turn it into something else, such as a value-added product. Miss Ruth and the other sisters who grow trees, they grow those trees for a reason. They can turn it into an economic benefit. So agriculture is in every single thing that we do, live, eat. Our houses built with things from agriculture. So it's in all areas of our lives. Sometimes you just have to dig deep into yourself, into your soul, and find that talent. And I think you can relate something to agriculture. So again, those three things: to work collectively as women, to promote health and wellness through nature, and to initiate economic development. And we have probably have some sisters on the call tonight that this is your first time. And if this is your first time, I want to say we spend about 15, 20 minutes with the presentation. Then we answer questions. We're only on this call for 1 hour. After this call, I have what I call the after party. And if you have any questions, concerns, want to know more about FarmaSIS, then you stay on that call, and I will answer all of your questions. I take time once a month to be on the call, as long as it takes, because I cannot get to everyone who sends me an email or a question or a Facebook message. I'm sorry, I wish I could, but I just cannot get to every single person. But I can create a space once a month so that I can be there for you. And if you know a better way than that one, let me know. I'll try it. But for right now, once a month, I am available to answer all your questions, for you to deep dive, or for me to just share as much as I can after the call. We always like to start with prayer and meditation. And we do this for 1 minute. Now, if you're in the FarmaSIS class, I like to do it for 3 whole minutes. And the reason for that is for us to get on the same vibration, get in alignment, be thankful, be grateful for this day and all days, and to be thankful that we are able to come once a month and get on a call together as sisters, as women in this agricultural space. You know, we were very, very, very instrumental in helping to build this country through agriculture. So let's reclaim our rightful place. All right, so for 1 minute, we're just gonna be still, get centered, and get on one accord, on one vibration, one alignment. Begin. Thank you, Miss Donna.
Whether you're trying to get your ideas down,
we're going to jump right into our presentation with Miss Sabreena Bryant. Sabreena has a BA from the University of South Carolina in journalism and communications, and she has worked with the USDA for 20 years. Miss Sabreena, you look like you're 20 years old, girl. 20 years, for real? That's a good long time.
Yeah, it is. It's 20 years this year.
Well, congratulations on working at the USDA for 20 years, and thank you for getting on a call with us tonight. And thank you for providing South Carolina farmers with information about the USDA programs. And so I'm gonna let you get started, and please try to hold your questions to the end. And we're gonna make sure that we listen carefully, write our questions down. Again, we'll ask questions at the end of Sabreena's presentation. Again, thank you, Sabreena, for joining us tonight. All right, you can take over.
Thank you, Benita. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with your group tonight. I'm going to go ahead and jump right into my presentation. Share my screen with you. All right. So I work for the Farm Service Agency. FSA is an agency under the Department of Agriculture. And our agency provides farmers with a strong safety net through a variety of programs, such as farm commodity and disaster programs. And we also have conservation programs, mainly the Conservation Reserve Program, CRP. Our agency also has another sector to it called farm loans, and we provide financial credit to eligible producers who are unable to receive private commercial credit. I'm going to just start with a snapshot of our program portfolio. As I mentioned before, part of our agency focuses on farm programs and the other on farm loans. I'm going to begin by just briefly talking about our safety net programs. Most of these programs are centered around a disaster, and they mainly help a farmer to recoup some of the lost investment that they would experience if a natural disaster occurred and affected their crop or livestock. So we're going to start with ARC PLC, the Agriculture Risk Coverage and Price Loss Coverage Program. This program provides payments to farmers when the actual revenue for a covered commodity falls below the expected revenue. NAP, which is our non-insured crop disaster assistance program, which is very popular. It provides financial assistance to producers of non-insurable crops when low yields, loss of inventory, or prevented planting occur due to natural disasters. So just a thing about NAP, when we say non-insurable crops, this usually refers to crops that you can't get insurance for through the risk management agency. That's another USDA agency, and they usually provide insurance for big commodities. We're talking soybean, corn, wheat, peanuts, those types of big crops, that farmers have several hundred acres of. NAP is usually for smaller farmers who have what we consider, truck crops that you sell at the farmer's market, tomatoes, cucumbers, okra, a lot of blueberries, strawberries, the bushes and fruit bushes that a lot of farmers have, like you pick farms for. Those types of fruits, those types of vegetables you can't really get wide commercial credit for. NAP does cover. We also have LIP, which is our Livestock Indemnity Program. This program pays producers for livestock deaths in excess of normal mortality or injury caused by a natural disaster or by attacks from animals reintroduced into the wild by the federal government. We have ELAP, our Emergency Assistance for Livestock, Honeybees, and Farm-Raised Fish program. This pays producers for losses due to disease and certain adverse weather events. We have TAP, our Tree Assistance Program. It provides financial assistance to orchardists or nursery tree growers to replace or rehabilitate eligible trees, bushes, and vines that are also lost to natural disasters. Our Margin Protection Program is a voluntary risk management program for our dairy producers, and it offers protection when the difference between the all milk price and the average feed cost falls below a certain dollar amount. Now, a little bit about our farm loans. Most common is our direct operating loans and our direct farm ownership loans. Our operating loans are used to purchase items such as livestock and feed, seed, equipment, fuel, insurance, basically your main operating expenses for your farm. It's a $400,000 loan limit with a maximum 7-year term. Our farm ownership loans are used to purchase or expand a farm, to construct or improve existing farm buildings. There is a $600,000 loan limit with this and a 40-year maximum term. So operating loans are for operating expenses, and ownership loans is basically used to actually purchase or renovate a farm. Microloans are just a loan with a lower amount, but microloans are basically direct operating loans or ownership loans. It just has a $50,000 loan limit and a maximum 25-year term. These loans are pretty popular with farmers because less paperwork, and from what I've been told, they're a little bit easier to acquire because that limit is lower. So we also have guaranteed loan program. This is used to obtain loans from a USDA approved commercial lender to finance or purchase farmland for agriculture production. The borrower, is the lender's client, and the lender is FSA's client. Now we also have youth loans. So if anyone out there has youth that are interested in agriculture and they would like to get started early, please come see us. This is for young folks between the ages of 10 and 20 who participate in 4-H clubs, FFA, or similar organization, and it's used to finance educational income producing ag projects. It's only a $5,000 loan limit with a maximum 7-year term. But a lot of young folks are starting to take advantage of these loans, and it's really leading to, financial independence once they, get out of high school. They go ahead and get these loans, start with, I just met a young man who bought 5 cows with his loan, and he raised those cows, bred them, turned a profit, and invested in more cows. Now he has 17, and he's 16 years old, and he's looking to expand even more. It just teaches financial literacy and just kind of help kids to understand what farming is about. If you know anyone who's interested, please pass the word along. We also have emergency loans. These are used for to help ranchers and farmers recover from production and physical losses due to drought, flooding, or other natural disasters. Right now, we have some emergency loans going on in parts of our upstate of South Carolina. These emergency loans are for some freezing and frost that occurred back in March. I think a lot of producers up in the upstate lost some peaches and strawberries when they had a bad freeze. So we put out these emergency loans in July for those folks to recover some of their losses. And lastly, we got our farm storage facility loans. These are pretty popular with a lot of producers, especially those who are looking for that added value profit. It provides low interest financing, produces to store, handle, or transport eligible commodities. The max amount is $500,000, and with a 3 to 12 year term, depending on how much you get. From what I've been told, a lot of these farm storage facility loans actually are microloans that are $50,000 or less. So I assume that's one reason why they're probably pretty popular with a lot of our farmers. Just a little bit about CRP. This is our conservation program, and CRP is a voluntary program that contracts with ag producers so that environmentally sensitive land is not farmed or ranched, but devoted to conservation instead. CRP participants establish long-term resource conserving plant species to control erosion, improve water quality, and develop wildlife. In return, FSA provides these participants with rental payments and cost share assistance. And these contracts usually last up to 15 years. So if you have some land, you may have inherited it and you don't quite know what you want to do with it, and you don't really want to farm it, or it's been farmed in the past and you don't want to do that now, CRP may be a good program for you to think about. You could put it in pollinator habitat or plant trees on it and work with FSA to get payments to keep it that way. So what's new with FSA? I really wanted to let everyone know about this mega rule update. You guys heard me just talk about NAP, which is our non-insured crop assistance program. Well, back in January, the Biden administration came up with the mega rule update stating that as long as a producer has a CCC 860 form on file with FSA, that will be the application for basic NAP coverage beginning with the 2022 crop year. That would provide free basic coverage and waive the NAP fee for producers who have certified as socially disadvantaged, limited resource, beginning or veteran farmer or rancher. So basically, folks, all you got to do is you got a farm number with FSA and you have this 860 form on file, you automatically qualify for our basic NAP coverage. That means your farm will at least be protected by the basic coverage under this program. So all you have to do is just come in, talk to our CED, and let them know that you would like to complete one of these forms so that you can be covered for NAP. Now, this only provides, I think, 50-50 coverage, which means I think you only get about 50% of what you lost. But that's okay. That's the basic, but you can always buy up if you choose to do so. But having that basic coverage is something that we really would like to share with farmers and hope that they take advantage of. If you do participate in that program, you would be required to report your crop acreage every year. I just put this table up. It may not be exclusive, but this is what I was told. This is the basic table for South Carolina and some of the crop reporting dates in our state. So whenever you plant those, your crop, hopefully you'll come into a FSA office and report what you planted by that deadline. I'm not going to read all of this, but you guys maybe just want to take a few minutes to take a look at it. Maybe take a photo of it if you need it. And of course, if you have questions about it, you can ask me, or I can send you more information later. But I thought it was important just to share that, there is some requirements for participating in NAP and some of our other programs. So how do you get started with FSA? First, just contact your local field office. We have 34 offices throughout South Carolina, and those 34 offices service all 46 counties. You would usually work with the county office where your land is. Sometimes we have producers who may live in one county but have land in another. More than likely, they'll usually use that service center where their land is located, but not always. If you have land in 2 counties, I think you get the choice of where you'd like to have your paperwork done. But just contact your office, bring in your documents, proof of identity, any deeds and leases, and then just have a sit-down discussion with us about what you'd like to accomplish. We'll talk to you about our programs. We'll register your farm with a farm tracking number, and we'll just try to put together a farm plan for you that would best suit your needs and the goals that you have going forward. I did want to talk a bit about heirs property operators and participating in our programs. I know there's a lot of information going around about, heirs property operators not being able to participate, and that's not true. I know in the past it has been hard for folks who didn't have a clear title or a clear deed to work with us, but that has changed in the past few years. What's the difference between a farm operator and a farm owner? So a farm operator is defined by USDA as an individual entity or joint operation who is in general control of the farming operations, making day-to-day management decisions. This could be an owner, a hired manager, a cash tenant, a share tenant, or a partner. And the farm owner is actually a person who has legal ownership of the farmland. A farm number is required to be eligible for our programs, but you don't always have to have a clear title to participate. Under the Uniform Partition of Heirs Property Act, they did allow other documents to be used in the stead of a deed. Accepted items to establish a farm as an operator includes a court order verifying that the land meets the definition of heirs property as defined in a UPHPA, a certification from the local recorder of deeds that the recorded owner of the land is deceased and at least one heir has initiated a procedure to retitle the land, a tenancy in common agreement approved by a majority of the owners, giving the individual the right to control the land, tax returns for the previous 5 years showing an undivided farming interest, self-certification that the individual has control of the land for the purpose of farming, and any other documentation accepted by our office that establishes that the individual has general control. That can include an affidavit from an owner stating that the individual has control, limited power of attorney, giving the individual control, or canceled checks or receipts for rent payments and or operating expenses. I do believe different states have different requirements. I'm not sure what's exactly considered a requirement as far as South Carolina, but as for FSA, I was told that, many of these things that I just listed should be accepted in our offices. I'm going to stop there and just share my contact information with you. Oh, one last thing. I did want to share with you guys before I go. I don't know if you understand how our offices work, but the way FSA offices work, We do have something called county committees in each of our service centers. These county committees are elected positions of citizens who are in the farming community. Many of them most of them work with FSA and have an undivided interest in farming in their areas. South Carolina has just been approved and received an urban county committee for Columbia, South Carolina. So I wanted to share that with you in case any of you live in Richland County or in the urban area surrounding Richland County. That could be Eastover, Blythewood, the city limits itself, Gaston. We are in the beginning processes of getting that committee together. So I don't have a lot of information to share with you, but please be on the lookout for more information. Our county committees are pretty essential part of the way our organization is structured. They work with our CEDs in our office and they help make day-to-day decisions on programs that are coming in that office. They also have a clear connection to the folks in the farming community. And basically they help to look out for the folks in their community. They look out for what is in their best interest in their area. And that's what they're supposed to do. So if you know of anyone who is in the urban outlying areas of Columbia, please pass the word that we will be establishing a new county committee in Columbia, South Carolina. And we will be looking to add new committee members to that committee. I'm not sure how many, but normally in our field offices is about 3 to 5 members. So just want to share that with you guys. And Bonita, as I get more information, I will for sure be sharing it with you. Just to make sure we get the word out about this. I hope you guys have had a chance to copy my information down. Please subscribe to Gov Delivery. I send out a newsletter every single month about programs and what's going on. This last one just included a whole article on those urban communities I just spoke about. So please sign up for more information. I send out a newsletter at minimum every month, but I actually send out more than that. I send out information as I get it. I appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to speak with you. If you have any questions for me, I'll try my best to answer them. And if I can't, I'll get back with you and Bonita and try to get you some information about it.
Thank you. Thank you, Sabreena.
Sure.
I want to say this. I have heard this presentation a lot of times, and every single time I still learn something new. You cannot listen to this one time and think you're going to get it because it's so much information. And the first time you hear it, it can feel very foreign to you, like, I don't understand. I felt that way at least the first 5 times because I was trying to wrap my head around everything. But the information is very valuable. So we have the recording, and later Donna can tell you how you can look at the recording. But I want to suggest that you look at it a few times. And some people on here have land that don't want to farm. And I do want you to take a close look at that conservation program that they have. You don't have to do nothing. Is there a minimum amount of acres, Sabreena, for the conservation to participate with the conservation program if you have land?
I don't know the exact answer to that, but Bonita, I don't think so. I've been on folks who've had as much as 2 or 3 acres in CRP, and then some folks will put 100 acres in it. It just depends on how much land you have and what you want to do with it. You know, some people do both. They'll farm and then they'll have land that they felt, may not be good for farming, and they want to still do something with it, and they'll put it in CRP.
So if I had 2 acres, there's a chance that I could put 1 acre in CRP and grow on the other acre? There's a chance?
think so, absolutely. I don't think there's any limit, especially if you're growing trees or if you installing pollinators.
Yes.
You don't need more than that to install pollinators. Yeah.
Do you know approximately like how much that is? I have heard people say it definitely can cover the yearly taxes.
Yes, it can. Benita, this is Margaret Harrison.
Hey,
And
Margaret. Hey,
how you
Margaret. How you doing?
doing great, doing great. Listen, I'm in that program, and you can have as little as two
Hold on
tenths.
1 second. I can't see her. Donna, can we put this on Gallup?
No, you don't. I don't want nobody to see me. I just want to talk.
All right. Well, Miss Margaret, introduce yourself and start over.
Okay, I'm Margaret Harrison, and I live in Greenville County, and I am a farmer, and my farm is called H&G Produce. And I just want to inform everyone that you can have as little as 2/10 of an acre. Even though I have 3 acres, but they pay me for 2/10 of an acre for the pollinators. And so I think that's a pretty good deal if that's what you want to do. The only thing we had to do was clear the land and plant flowers so the pollinators could come in.
And did that, you don't have to tell us. I know when I'm not gonna ask you how much, but did it help you
Oh, you
with
helped
the
me to pay.
taxes?
Yes,
Huh? Okay.
yes, yes.
Okay.
I
Now,
think the minimum is like $1,500.
I think you're right, Ms.
hold
Harrison.
up, hold up, hold. Back it up. Back it up. Minimum 1,500. She said 2/10 of an
Yeah.
acre.
That's what I have.
All right. I know 1,500 can cover taxes on 2/10 of an acre. And it's deemed agriculture, so the taxes are even less. All right.
Less than, yes.
All right, sisters, if you have some agricultural land, make sure that you're paying the right amount of taxes, the least amount. Thank you,
And-
Ms. Margaret. Thank you.
Okay, I encourage everyone to get a tracking number also, because I don't know how many of you guys have heard about the climate smart program that Clemson and South Carolina State is doing. But I was told that quite a few minorities was not eligible at first because they didn't have a farm tracking number. So that's something that we really need to think about.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So
Absolutely.
we have a question. Thank you so much. Yeah, like I said earlier when I started this call, we're going to bring you the information, but just having the information is not enough. You have to act on the information. You have to take it to the next step. So to get any service with the USDA, the first step is to go to FSA. That's your first number 1 stop. Receive what is called a farm track number, a farm tracking number. You have to do that. Then you're eligible for whatever programs and services that they have. But if you don't have that, you can't participate. You know, it's just like when COVID hit, a lot of people were not set up to get the PPP because they didn't have a separate business account or EIN. It is a business. And, you know, if you don't have the right things in place, then you can't participate. So we want everyone on here, if you have 1/10 of an acre, please, if you want to receive some benefits, and you, like Ms. Margaret said, minimum 1,500 a year for conservation. If you want to receive anything, you must first have that farm track number, and this starts with FSA. And Sabreena said that there are 34 offices around the state, so you have to go to the one that's in your area. There is a, you can just put FSA South Carolina, and that map will come up. So thank you again, Miss Margaret. There are some more questions in here. Miss Donna, do you see those questions? Let me see.
The only one I saw was, can I get paid for a pollinator in my backyard? So I guess she needs to get her tracking number.
Yeah, you'll have to actually get your tracking number and get established as having a farm area. It wouldn't necessarily have to be your backyard, but it would need to be an area that's designated for farming. So you would have to get your farm on the map before you actually were able to get paid for those pollinators.
Well, if you go to her yard, you'll see it is a farm. It's Miss Annette, yes.
Okay. Get your farm tracking number for sure. Go have someone to pull it up on the map and designate a number for you.
Okay. I see Danielle says, my husband has the farm number in his name. Do I need to be added or can I use his? That's your husband's, that's y'all's. I'm thinking,
Yeah.
help me out, Sabreena.
The farm number is attached to the land, not to a person. So he could probably just add your name with his, since that farm is probably in the both of your name. I'm just going to assume that. But that tracking number is with the land and not the person. So even if you guys sold that property or that land, that number wouldn't change. It just would change to a different person once it's sold. So you could just get your name added to the one that's already there.
All right. Did we answer that question for you, Danielle?
Is there a place to find a list of the properties about the CRP program?
A list of properties. What do you mean by properties? Like properties for sale or?
Properties in that program are the new transition incentive program that they have.
Hi guys, that's my question. So I actually have your name down, Ms. Sabreena, from the Food Summit to ask you this question.
Okay.
So I was researching a few programs that the FSA has, and I did find the CRP program, and I found that they have something now called like a transition incentive for people who are willing to transition their property out of that program back to arable land. And if they are willing to lease or sell that property to new beginning or minority farmers, then they get an extra 2 years of that payment. But my question was if anyone with all these resources, because I haven't been able to find a list of the people who are taking advantage of that to see if we could shop that incentive or something. Does that make sense?
You want to know a list of people who can take advantage of that incentive or who has taken advantage of that?
Maybe a list of the properties that are currently enrolled in that have their land in the conservation reserve program. Is there any way to find that information?
You probably could FOIA that information, but they wouldn't tell you anyone's direct address or anything. It may just be an actual list of names. Any information about payments is able to be FOIA'd from the federal government because that's taxpayers' dollars that gives these payments. So you can try to FOIA that information, and maybe they would give you a list of the properties in South Carolina enrolled in the program, but you probably wouldn't be able to get much more than just names. You wouldn't get any addresses or any what they call PII, which is personal identifiable information. Does that make sense?
It does. So then I'm wondering, how would we take advantage of the people who are in that transitionary, program if we can't find out who they are?
I would suggest going to your county office and seeing if they have any names of the folks that they work with that they could talk to you about, especially if it's in a county where you live. I'm not familiar with the program. I'm not a program specialist, so I don't work with CRP. If you want to send me your information, I can connect you with Crystal Yeomans. She's our CRP specialist and she handles that program. I'm pretty sure Crystal can give you exact answer on that question that I can't give you tonight. I'm just assuming that you go to the county office, but it could definitely be something else to help you identify. I think that program is kind of new. I do remember seeing it, but I haven't worked with it much. Send me an email. Do you have my email address?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Send me an email and I'll forward it to Crystal in the morning and we'll see if we can get you an answer.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that question. Thank you. Ms. Donald?
There's one about cannabis farmers. I think I saw that on one of your lists. They wanted to know whether they are eligible for the FSA programs.
I think hemp farmers are eligible for our loans. That is what I was told. As far as our disaster programs, I don't think hemp is covered yet, maybe in the future, but I do know that there are loans available. They treat hemp as another commodity, and if you want a loan for the FSA, you can apply for it, even for hemp.
I see a question. Can one farm number cover multiple and geographical separate tracts of land?
I'm not sure. From what I've been told, separate tracts usually have separate farm numbers. I've known people to have the same tract, like for heirs property, and then they get the deed cleared and they separate it. That's considered a reconstitution, and then you can separate that into two different tract numbers. But mostly, most tracts of land have their own number, from what I've been told. Because a landowner can have multiple tract numbers assigned to his name, and they'll be in different spots, especially if those tracts aren't right beside each other. Sometimes there'll be, forest land separating fields where they grow, row crops or something, and those fields will have their own numbers attached to them. But they'll
Now, what-
still be assigned to one individual because he owns all that land.
Okay, I was gonna say, what if you have some land in Orangeburg and some in Columbia?
Oh,
That's two geographically,
definitely two different tract numbers.
definitely two, okay, because those are geographically separate and different. All right.
Yes, ma'am.
So
Someone
Miss-
has a question regarding, they have 60 acres and they want to put a conference center on that land to have some events. Would that qualify for any of the funding? Would it still be?
No, because a conference center isn't considered ag production, but I would look at rural development if that conference center is going to be in a rural area and is going to serve, be very beneficial to rural residents, then you may be able to get a grant or some funding for that conference center through rural development. That's another sister agency of ours, and they have grant funding that's different than ours. That would be for like economic development in rural areas.
Joyce, we had, I can't think of her name right now. Was it Jacqueline? The sister with rural development? So it should be in her numbers in our archive somewhere. She could answer this, and I think it may qualify, like Sabreena said, in rural development. They have something called Communities Facilities Program.
Mm.
And it may
Okay,
qualify.
I'll check on that. I had forgotten about that, yes. Community Facilities Program.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
What
thank
all
you.
the, huh?
I was just thank you for the other answers. My question. I just want to thank you for your responses.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank y'all again for being on here tonight. What all does the backyard have to be deemed as a farm? Now,
As far as, I'm not sure what to be deemed as a farm. I assume you would have, for our programs, we usually give funding for ag production that is considered for profit. So if you're hobby farming and you're not really selling it, I don't think you qualify for our farm, for our programs. But if you're growing vegetables, you're taking them to the farmer's market and you're getting a profit from it, that's considered a farm. If you got an irrigation source, even if you just watering it with a bucket of water and a spoon, that's considered you watering that area and you're irrigating your land, that's going to be considered farm. I think Ms. Margaret said 2/10 of an acre. I think we have put farm numbers on 1/10 of an acre. My program specialist told me. So it could really be really, really small. I know like with NRCS, they have something called a seasonal high tunnel program, and a lot of farmers take advantage of that program, and they just put those in their backyard, and that's where they start their farm, and that's where they grow their vegetables and for profit. And I know all you need there is irrigation for like 2 years, growing vegetables for profit for like 2 years, and that's considered, what you can get a farm tracking number for and considered a farm. So I would just say growing vegetables for profit and having an irrigation source would be considered a farm.
Also, so you can do those raised beds. A lot of people that's at these restaurants have, those raised beds up on the rooftop. And I do know they have gotten tracking numbers for those things. So it doesn't have to be very big. I think they changed the guideline.
Yes, ma'am. And now that we're doing more urban agriculture, that's going to be even more prominent fixture, with the type of farms that we are going to be working with. What you would consider non-traditional farms, rooftop farms, aquaponics and hydroponics. We're gonna have to be creative to keep farming going. So, folks are coming up with more easier or more non-traditional methods of growing vegetables. And all that's going to qualify as a farm.
Right. From LaShawn. Hi, LaShawn. Do you have advice for farmers who rent? They don't own the land.
I mean, even if you rent the land, you're still eligible to participate in our programs. The only thing you have to do is just get permission to put that, to participate in the program from your rentor. But renters and leasors, they're more than eligible to participate in our programs. Probably half of our participants don't own their land. So anybody that rents, I encourage them to still work with FSA. If you ever think about getting your own land, come see us about a loan. You'd be eligible just as an owner would.
I think that might be answering a question about a newcomer here, Aisha, who is saying she's new and she's interested in, she doesn't have land yet, but she is interested in all the information she can get.
Okay.
He says, are there any programs or tips to get started? That's what I'm here, and I was referred because of my interest in becoming a farmer. I have a structured business with the EIN, no land as of now. Is there any program or tips to help me get started? Well, you say you've already, well, first you got to decide, make a decision if this is something you want to do. It does require work, and you've taken the first step of getting your EIN. You will also need to have a business bank account. And like they say earlier, you can rent some land, lease some land, or you can purchase. I would suggest deciding if this is something you really want to do, because it does require everyday work. You have to work on it constantly and every day. So once the decision is made, then you go through the regular steps. Again, you've got an EIN. You want to get registered. Do we have to be registered with SAM to get the? I don't know if that's a rule or not. Margaret, do you have anything to add? Any tips to get started?
I just think that you just need to go down to your farm service agency and tell them what you have, and they'll tell you what you need. And just point out your farm is located. You don't even have to tell them what you're growing, because I'm in Greenville County, and I know that has happened, that one guy came in and wanted a track number, and they wanted to know what he was growing, and he just stated, hey, that's not any of your business. So now they have to give you one. So if that's what you do. So, but first is go to farm service agency.
See what you qualify.
Yeah, and they hook you up with what, NRCS after that. If you want irrigation or that EQIP program, and there's so many other programs out there that's available. But first, you got to go to the farm service agency.
It's your first stop.
Benita.
I agree with Ms. Margaret that working with us, that's your first stop. But I also agree with you, Benita, that I'm the beginning farmer coordinator for USDA too. And I talk to so many beginning farmers. I mean, people in all stages of farming, from they're already starting farming to they're not even here in South Carolina, and they're just thinking about coming back to start a farm and they don't know what to do. For people with experience who may have grown up on a farm and they know what farming life is like, my advice is a little different from them. I kind of start them off with coming to FSA if they haven't done so, and getting a farm tracking number. That's for folks who have a background in farming and know what the work is in getting a farm started. If you are brand new to farming and you're thinking about doing a lifestyle change, you've never farmed before, and you're thinking about making this your main business, your livelihood, I suggest to a lot of folks to go work on a farm, to go to an incubator farm, to volunteer on a farm for a year. I would test it and see if you like it, and that's what you want to do. That year or two will probably tell you the story on if that's the lifestyle change you want to make before you make the full transition and put your full investment in it. That's just personal advice from talking to so many folks over the past few years, folks who have farmed, folks who have stopped farming. I would just test it first. That's one thing that I've decided to do, is to make a resource database of incubator farms in South Carolina that I can share with new and beginning farmers, just because so many people ask me that question on what should I do to get started. My advice is to test it first for a year and make sure that's what you want to do. Market, make a business plan. And once you got all that, if after a year you're still serious about it, then you need to start looking for your capital, your farm, come see FSA.
Ms.
Department of
Sabreena,
Ag.
we have nine more new messages. Let's try to get through these real quick, okay?
That's all. Wait.
When you say FSA helps with farm planning, does that include helping to plot out where it's best to grow certain crops on the farm, depending on the soil test completing? No, I want to do a PICU, but I need assistance with proper planning of where to plant certain produce. FSA does not do that.
No, I don't believe we do. And I don't think I think our farm plans is maybe a layout of working within our programs. If you want a farm plan of that extent, I know NRCS puts together a conservation farm plan, but that's just resource based. If you want to do that, maybe Clemson Extension may be a better place to start for getting, you know, your farm planned out for you, but I don't think we do that at FSA, not that detailed.
Yeah.
Go
Try your
to,
Clemson Extension agents. They'll help. Okay, Miss Margaret, you were saying something? Someone?
just go to Clemson Extension. First of all, start with a soil test and tell them what you want to grow. And they will test your soil and see if your soil is, you know, suited for that type of crop. And you can start a raised bed. They don't have to be that big. You can get some buckets and start growing some vegetables, 5-gallon buckets, and fill them up with soil and put some seeds in there and see if you like doing that, because that's a beginner.
Okay.
Also,
Also,
Bonita and Sabreena, this is Vivian. So the NRCS helped me a lot. They gave me a soil map, and they'll tell you if it's good for growing vegetables or whatever. And this was a knowledgeable individual there. And I also used the Clemson Extension because they helped me a lot with like the pecans orchard on our property. So I did the soil test, and they also have a webinar where you can learn to read your soil test results as well. So just
and that was NRCS, correct?
Yeah, that was NRCS,
Okay.
but it is called a soil map, and it'll have additional information about your property, the soil on there. And like I say, for Clemson Extension, the horticulture, I guess I said that right, agent is the one that came out and showed me how to do the soil samples and then to read the soil results as well.
Okay, Ms. Warren, I hope you got that. You got FSA, you got NRCS. What programs are available for novice beekeepers? I know that there's a bee association, but does anyone else know about programs for beekeeper? But there are a couple of bee associations that I know are very helpful. Does anyone else have anything to add?
FSA does have programs for beekeepers for disaster related issues with beekeepers. ELAP was one that I just spoke about. If you want to send me your email address, if you want to just write it in the chat, or if you want to just send me an email personally, I can send you some more information about our disaster programs that help honey producers. When you say bees, would it be for honey producers, or would it be like for pollinators?
Okay, contact you. Also, Kimberly discussed that there's a new and beginning farmer program that's offered by Clemson. And I think it's once, maybe twice a year. That new and beginner farmer program does give you a lot of helpful information. They work more on the business side of being a farmer. Sophia, I have farmland that's heirs property. So is it still eligible? She said yes. That was yes, Sophia. Okay, I think that's all the questions. Did I miss anyone? Yes, Sophia.
Benita?
Yes.
Oh, boy, it froze.
Yes, Ruth. Pick a
Benita?
program at Clemson. Can you hear me, Ruth? Yes.
Yeah, okay, I sent you as a messenger, part of our 8th rural and limited resource. Oh, boy.
I hear you.
Okay, I said, check your messaging. I
Okay.
sent you a copy of the listing of all the county offices in the
Mhm.
state, and
Mhm.
also a map of a summary of the,
Could you have put that in the chat?
it's a picture.
Okay. I know
Yeah.
there's a map or something. Can we put it in the chat? All right.
So yeah, check your messages. I sent you a map and also a two-sided, a listing of all the county offices from Abbeville,
Okay.
Greenwood, all the way down to York. It's 2 sides.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Sabreena, thank you again for being on the call. Thank you, everybody. We are at 7:56. We have 4 more minutes. Did we answer everyone's questions? You know, I like to be on time, start on time and end on time, and we got 4 more minutes.
I have one question. I have one question real quick.
Okay.
Do you know anything, Sabreena, about the carbon credits? Is that a part of your organization as well?
Carbon credits. I don't
Right.
believe it is. I want to say that may be NRCS. This isn't the Climate Smart program that you're thinking about. Is this something else?
It may be where you kind of keep a land, some property from being developed where there's a lot of development going on around it.
With the carbon sequestration?
Yes.
Yeah. We don't
Donna,
deal
I
with-
have someone I can connect you with that
yeah, I don't
knows
think
about
we
the
deal
carbon
directly
credit.
with that.
And maybe we could get someone on to talk about carbon credits.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So a couple of announcements. On September 23rd, we're going to be taking some children, youth to a farm. If you're interested in a young person going, let us know. And once a month, we gather at the Catherine Belfield Center, 2611 Grant Street, to talk about health and health issues. Last month, we discussed trauma in the Black community. We had a counselor there. Most of the times we have a medical doctor who is also a holistic. She's traditional and holistic. And we get a lot of our questions answered. One of the things we want to do is, start planting seeds for good health. The health statistics of us in America, in South Carolina, in the South, need some improvement. And can't nobody do that. Nobody can improve our own health better than we can. So we're doing our best to again plant seeds of good health. You're welcome to join us. That's next Monday. It's always the 4th Monday of the month at the Catherine Belfield Center. And this call is always the 3rd Monday of the month. So we're busy bees. But our goal is to make sure that we have the information. And again, not only just have the information, but use the information. Thank you. Use the information to our benefit. There are a lot of good programs out there. Again, we have to take advantage of them by using the information and again, taking the information to the next level. Recording. So we'll have the recording available. We have a YouTube FarmaSIS. It'll be there. And thank you all for joining us. And if you want to stay on the call, the after party, I'm here for it. So listen, y'all have a great night, but I'm still here. If you want to be on the call after the call, so we can have more conversation and I can answer any questions that you have.